Salutations, hello, hi, welcome to Basic Public Speaking. I'm Christy Thomas. I'm your professor instructor for this course, and this is the video chat for week 12. Week 12's dates are November the 3rd through November the 7th. Something about this week is that this is the last real core lesson for this course. There are other lessons open, but they kind of just go along with everything we've been saying all along. They're just more in-depth look. So this is the last core lesson for this course, and it's persuasive speaking and arguments. There's going to be a couple modules. You have your first main module, and in it is Word documents, video lessons, PowerPoint presentations, and publisher PDFs. All the good stuff that is in all of our lessons, nothing new here. And then there's going to be like a supplemental video that just discusses various ways to present persuasive speeches, the formality, informality of them, the difference between informative and persuasive itself. So really check these out. And I really like adding these extra modules, supplemental modules, because A, it gives you different perspectives on what I talk about in the lessons themselves, or these weekly videos, or anything else that pops up that I discuss. I love giving different perspectives because, they may say something in a different light that makes it make sense. Okay, so check out both those modules. Like I said, this is your last core lesson, and this comes into play because the very last main speech of this course is a persuasive speech, which we dive into when you check out that module. And as of right now, everything is open on Blackboard. Every lesson that has been opened in this course, all the lessons for this course are open. Every assignment, speech, everything's open. The only thing left to go now is some weekly videos from me, just kind of discussing and really reminding you of what's due and what's coming up. So during week 12, nothing is due, but we're prepping. We're prepping for the main speech 3, which is due at the end of next week, which we already did a chitty chat about. So, well, we didn't do a chitty chat about. I'm going to talk about it shortly, but let's get back to this week's lesson. So persuasive speaking and arguments. This lesson really dives deep into the informality and formality of persuasive speaking. Persuasive speaking has been around as long as we have been studying public speaking, just like informative, just like celebratory, just had a different name. Now, it's going to touch base, and we talked about this before. Plato set it up. He put out in the world that it's the message being sent. Okay, but then our grandfather, remember him, Aristotle? I keep coming back to him. He's the one that really drives it home. It's not just the message, but the messenger. But within that world of, it's not just the message, but the messenger, this is where we come into, let's define persuasive speaking in this world. So the lesson module tells us that persuasive speaking, you're wanting to change a belief, an attitude, a value. Some of those are a little trickier than others because, just how we were raised, our environments, and where we are in the world today. All these things that have molded us and where we are today. Okay. Persuasive speaking, formally, the formality of it, is really judicial and political speaking falls under this. Okay. I don't talk about these as individual because some scholars, they're not individual. They're lumped together, and some they are. But for the purpose of this class, I only talk about 3 genres, and that's informative, persuasive, and celebratory. So if you think political speaking, think of elections. These could be local elections. It could be elections in a school that you have been in or have gone to for class president or club president, whatever the case may be here. Homecoming court, this or that, whatever. All those things, that's an election. Local government, state representatives, presidential elections. You see this in candidates and running mates and their agendas. And I'm not saying agenda in a negatory, derogatory tone. I'm saying this as the agenda that they want to get voted in. And that's any candidate. So they have rallies and they give speeches and they go forth, and they're trying to convince the populace, the constituents, why they are the best candidate, why they should be voted for. They talk about policies and they talk about ideas and what's going forth. So by telling you these things, they're trying to sway you. Maybe sway is not the correct word here, but it's the one coming to mind. They want to convince you as to why they should be voted. Okay, that's a formality of public persuasive speaking. Judicial, that's lawyers in court. If you think about it, lawyers come forth and they are trying to get the jury to say yay or nay, guilty or not guilty. So they put forth information. They're wanting to sway the jury. They want to understand by putting, why this person is guilty, why they're not guilty, or perhaps they're not as guilty as presented. Whatever the case. I'm not going to go into the details of that. That is not the purpose of this course. But it's giving you an idea of the formality of persuasive speaking. So it can be very formal, and when you get into the formal world, very extreme as well. But when you're wanting to change laws or modify laws or existing or, change things, generally persuasive speaking comes into it, because informative, you're just giving the information. The difference between informative and persuasive is that you're still getting the information in persuasive, but that information, you are using it to your purpose. And not all persuasive speaking has to be formal. I don't want that to be the info that comes across. It does not have to be formal. It is not a requirement. It is not an extreme. It can be more informal too, because it could be, I'm sure you have seen ads in magazines, online, if you watch regular television, all those have ads. It could be ads for products, it could be ads for food, but they're trying to convince you why you should try their food or try their product. Oh, well, this particular makeup gives you a dewy glow, or this shoe's the great, because it makes me run faster, it makes me jump higher, or endorsements also fall under that. You should really try this because this is what someone so tries or endorses, and we know they're the best, or they're awesome or amazing, so yes, I'll do that too. So persuasive speaking, you have informal and informal. Informal could be talking why you and your buddy should go to this location to go eat dinner. You're pleading your case, so to speak. And informal, you don't really need as much backup. Like, you don't need to it's not crazy backup information. But when you start getting to the more formality of persuasive speaking, just like any public speaking, you back it up and you generally have concise, correct information that coincides with your purpose. Okay, try not to dive too deep into this because there's a whole lesson. But to wrap all that up is that persuasive speaking, the lesson tells us it's you wanting to change a belief, an attitude, or a value in your audience. But I also want you to take away, you're wanting your audience to start or stop an action. Why one should not smoke, why someone should drink 8 glasses of water a day, why someone should walk for 20 minutes a day, why, so-and-so is the best Batman. I say that because when you can get in a discussion or an argument with someone about who makes the best, or what wrote this, or whatever the case may be here. Oh my gosh, they have the best pizza. No, this place. Well, why do you say that? Well, they have the best pizza because crust to sauce ratio is chef's kiss. I don't know. I'm just throwing out stuff out there so you understand what I'm saying with the formality and informality. But you're wanting your audience to start or start an action, or you want them to agree with your purpose. Perhaps you discuss why a school day should be shorter, should start at 10 and not 8. Or perhaps you want to discuss why, I don't know. I'm kind of losing train of thought here. But so for this week, it's persuasive speaking and arguments. Nothing is due. Yay, hooray. But we are prepping because your main speech 3 is due at the end of week 14. No, we're on week 12. I just skipped a week. Main speech 3 is due at the end of week 13. So on Friday, November 14th by 5 o'clock, main speech 3 is due. Now, main speech 3 is kind of a choose your own adventure, tell me a story. There's some technical requirements. Technical requirements are as follows. You have to have, as always, a video of yourself delivering the speech. Check that off the list. That's going to be for everything. 2, an outline will be due. 3, a quote. And because you have a quote, a works cited is due, but you can tack that on to the end of the outline. And again, there are various tools out there that you can create. Now, let's talk about the choose your own adventure portion of this. Option 1 is that you just read a book. And when I say read a book, think of young kids, ages 3, 4, school age, pre-K, kindergarten, first, second. You know, the not large books. Dr. Seuss, or a cutesy little book that's not extremely long. You can choose to read that book. But here's the catch. If you go that route, which is a wonderful route, don't get me wrong, I love a good book. I want you to dig deep and use your storytelling tricks. If you're reading to a younger age audience, how do you keep their attention? A lot of folks will change the voice, the inflections. They'll change their voices for characters. I'm going to huff and puff and blow your house. I know, great example. So think of these things. The nonverbals. Perhaps you use your hands, or you make gestures, or you have facial expressions, like ways to captivate a small child. So, and for the works cited for that is literally just give me the book information. So that would be the name of the book, the author, that kind of stuff. All right, option 2, you can write a commencement speech. Great, grand, and wonderful. Option 3 is you can do a tribute or memorial speech for someone personal, or someone of a social standing, or an entertainer, or an athlete, you know, someone maybe you don't know personally, but you know, Ozzy Osbourne just passed away. So perhaps you want to do a memorial tribute speech to Ozzy Osbourne. Okay, so far we have reading a book, small age group, tribute speech, or a commencement speech. You can also choose to tell a story, just like this could be think of murder mysteries and crime, stuff like that. Bailey Sarian has this murder mystery makeup Mondays, where she puts on makeup and she tells a story about a true crime, and she discusses that. So you can do that as well. Or you could talk, just an interesting conspiracy theory. Or you can talk about, maybe you are a history buff and you are intrigued about a certain civilization, culture, or perhaps it's an area or a battle. You can talk about, really, the sky's the limit here. You can talk about any of those things. You can also give a book, movie, video game review as well, or a television series review as well. Just interject your personal into it because it's a review. So if you're giving me a review of, I don't know, some book series, tell me why you would, if you give this book series 4 out of 5 stars, tell me why it's 4 out of 5 stars. What is it that you liked? What is it that kind of held you off from giving it 5 out of 5? Like, give me a review. Or you can give me a review of a product or a food as well. That's new. I've never done a food review, but you can do that as well. You can tell me why you prefer a certain place to eat over another place. Like, if it were given a choice, you could go here. Or you can give me, talk to me about a favorite location. Perhaps you really like to go to Disney. Perhaps you like to go to a certain beach. Perhaps you're an amusement park junkie. You see where we're going here? This is a pretty large selection that you can go with for telling me a story. So you can write a commencement speech, you can read me a book for a child, you can write a tribute or memorial speech, you can tell me about a location, you can give me a review of locations or books or movies or films or video games or instruments or products. Whew. The stories you can tell. And with this, you're interjecting. We're really using more of this storytelling aspect and interjecting it into informative or celebratory speaking. So we are taking two of our main genres and our subgenre of storytelling that we've been doing all through this course, and we're mushing it together for this big main speech here. So you have a lot more freedom in this speech itself. Great, grand, wonderful, yay, hooray. We love variety. So you can choose whatever you want. Now, let's interject the requirements beyond the video itself and the outline, because outline is due now with every main speech. I ask for a quote. If you tell me a story, the quote is the book itself. So that's what you use, is just the book information. Anything else, you must use a quote. It can be a quote from whomever you're speaking about. It could be just something that goes along with your topic. If you're telling me about a location, maybe it's a highly recommended place and there's really great blurbs. You can find quotes and blurbs and statistics for all kinds of things. Just use them, but just give credit where credit is due. And again, there are apps and websites that you plug and chug your information. You put the information in and it creates and generates this quote for you. So you take it, you copy and paste it, and put it at the bottom of the outline. The outline you can create yourself, or you can use the one that I created for you that is in the outlining organization module. You can just click it, you can save it, and then plug and chug your information. I do not want a transcript. Again, transcripts are word for word, verbatim of what you are doing your speech on. I don't want that. You don't have to give me an extremely detailed outline. I don't want you to think you have to do that either. I give lots of things on that outline. You don't have to write your transitions. You don't have to write the thesis statement. You don't have to write the speech purpose. I want your topic. I want your intro. And you don't have to give me the whole intro. Just give me a little blurb. Your points, your conclusion. You don't have to give me your whole conclusion, just a blurb. Bits and pieces. They're called working outlines because these are things that you would use within giving the speech itself. Not saying that you'd have a sheet of paper like this doing it, but it could be down onto note cards. Just little things to help you remember. So, details, because I went into pretty good detail here. Details for tell me a story, third main speech are in that module. And again, there's going to be a link to upload the video of yourself delivering the speech and the outline, which is its own separate entity. That's due at the end of week 13, November 14th by 5 p.m. Persuasive speaking and arguments is the lesson for week 12. Whew, nothing due this week. We're setting up. Past this is your last main lesson for the course. All lessons are now open. All modules are now, everything's open on Blackboard. The only thing new that will be added from this point on are weekly videos by myself and announcements and emails. But no new lessons, assignments, or anything. Everything is up and going. So we have main speech 3 due Friday, November 14th by 5 p.m. Due Tuesday, November 25th. This is the week of Thanksgiving. By all means, it can be done beforehand. Your final storytelling speech is due. Videos and all that good stuff is going on, is already happened and open. The end of week 16, which is Friday, December 5th, your Cannon's Rhetoric Round 2 questionnaire is due by 5 p.m. And the following week is finals week for ACTC. Your final persuasive speech is due by Wednesday, December 10th at noon. I also want to note, please, hear me. There is nothing, I will accept nothing past noon on Wednesday, December the 10th. That is the cutoff for this course. If you are missing anything, whatever the case may be, all the information's out there for you. I will accept nothing past noon on Wednesday, December 10th. That gives me plenty of time to get grade books updated and submitted to all the powers to be. Whew, this was a pretty big video chat for week 12. So, week 12, November 3rd through the 7th, persuasive speaking and arguments. Nothing due. Your next due date is November the 14th. That's end of week 13. So, November 14th by 5 p.m. on a Friday. Your third main speech, which is a Tell Me a Story speech, detailed in this video and in its own module, check it out, is due. Whew. If you have any questions, concerns, or just need to chat, feel free to email me and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I hope you have an amazing week. Thanks so much. Bye.